Rugelach. 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 But I wasn't sure how to respond to that, so she held up the box of Rugelach. Now that's what I'm talking about, the other three shouted at the same time. Then they all laughed. They spread out on the blanket under a tree and Bo passed around the still warm box. Buttery, sugary goodness, said Lee. These are delicious. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Victoria and I'm back once again with another episode of Eating by the Book. This episode is inspired by Operation Sisterhood by rhuday-perkovich. That's so not how you say that, and also, as you may have noticed, I do not even know how to pronounce what type of food this is. Rugelach? That doesn't sound right. So food in this book is relatively significant. Bo loves baking, so does her mum. Her mum also cooks other things. So food kind of is this underlying motif through the novel. So as I was reading this earlier this year, I kept thinking, surely there's something in here I can make. Surely there's something in here that I'm going to want to make. Is there actually a recipe for cake at the back of this book? Yes. Do I want to make that cake? Apparently not. I had never heard of Rugelach before reading this. And I was like, what is this buttery goodness that they keep talking about? I want to eat it. So I googled it. Turns out it's a traditional Jewish dessert thing that I think is traditionally made around Hanukkah, but I could be wrong about that. Traditionally, it is made with like raisins and walnuts. I like neither raisins nor walnuts, so I went searching for an alternative. Today's recipe is going to be one that I found online. I found it on sugarspunrun.com. The link will be in the description down below if you want to make these. But this is a recipe for chocolate Rugelachs. I should just stop saying it, huh? So there's multiple steps to this recipe. You have to make a dough and then it has to go in the fridge, and then you have to make a filling, and then you have to put the filling on the dough, and then you have to cook the dough. So first we have to make the dough. So I've got my bowl. We have 2 cups of flour, a heaped 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Shout out to accidentally using the 1/2 teaspoon measure cup. And a 1/4 cup of sugar. So then I want to combine this. I'm actually going to use a knife right now because the next couple steps I need to use a knife for. Then this is the fun part. So the recipe actually recommends using a food processor and I don't have one. So I have to cut butter and cream cheese into this flour mixture. So to do that, I'm going to need 2 knives and I'm just going to have to cut until it's small. So I need a cup of butter cut into little squares, which I think you do that for a food processor so that it doesn't have problems, but I've done it anyway just to make myself feel like I'm making progress faster. And then I need 170 grams of cream cheese, which is also supposed to be cut into squares, but as you can see, I did have some problems. Now, these 2 ingredients, the butter and the cream cheese, need to be quite cold when you are handling them in here. It's kind of like making pastry in that way. You want the cold stuff to be cold. I don't entirely know why, but I know that you do. And so we want to cut this until it forms, until we have chocolate chip sized pieces of butter and cream cheese. If you're using a food processor, at this stage you're also adding in a 1/3 cup of sour cream, but as I'm not using a food processor, the recipe says to do this part first and then stir in the sour cream. So this is what my bowl looks like right now, and we're just gonna do that a billion times. This would obviously be a hell of a lot faster if you had a food processor. We're not fancy enough for that on this show. Okay, so I'm gonna call that chocolate chip sized chunks, and then I'm gonna stir through a 1/3 cup of sour cream. Then we're going to transfer the dough to a clean surface and work the crumbs together gently. Don't overhandle it or the warmth of your hands will start to melt the butter. So I'm going to just smush this into a dough. Now this recipe did not tell me to flour my surface, so I didn't. Good lord, this is goopy. They said don't overwork it or the butter will start to melt, and I'm like, I kind of need the butter to melt to stick everything together. Well, it's turning into a ball. That was rather weird, I must say, trying to get this all into one cohesive ball. Alright, divide the dough into 4 equal portions. And flatten each into a disc that's 1/2 to 1 inch thick. Wrap in plastic wrap and refrigerate for at least 1 hour and up to 5 days. We're gonna go for an hour. I'd call that the right thickness. Then we need to cover them in plastic wrap. I'm not the most confident in these turning out right, but I hope they do because I want to eat them. Which is usually how I feel about most of these. Most of these recipes that I try, I'm not convinced are going to be good in any way, shape or form. Which you'd think by now I'd have a little bit more confidence in myself considering how many of these episodes I've done now and how many things have turned out yum. So, I have 4 wrapped things of dough. These have to go in the fridge for an hour and then I'll come back. So, it's been just over an hour now because I had to prep everything for this stage. The oven is preheating. I have trays with baking paper over there. And I just took this out of the fridge, but I actually think I need to put it back in the fridge. I don't think I'm ready for it yet. So now we're gonna start working on the chocolate filling for these. And for this, I need to melt 226 grams of chocolate. So we're gonna melt this in the microwave in 20-second intervals, stirring it each time. Oh yeah, sheer liquid now. Smells great. Then we need to add 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and 1/8 teaspoon of salt, which is like no salt whatsoever. And so it should be somewhat gritty when it's completely mixed together, and apparently that will go away as it cooks. So we want to work fast, so we're gonna go and get one of our discs of dough. Just gonna put a little bit of flour down so nothing sticks, and we're actually gonna be using a rolling pin for this, so flour that up as well. So we want to make a 10-inch round circle. Do I know how long 10 inches is? No, so we're just gonna have to guess. But we want to go relatively fast. This is not really a circle, is it? She like wants to be a circle, but she didn't get the memo on how to do that. Oh my god, she is sticking to everything. This is failing. Why are you like this? Okay, I think that's the best I can do. Then we're going to spread our chocolate mix over this in a relatively thin layer. Oh my god, it's setting so quickly. Okay, because the dough is cold, so it encourages this stuff to set, and I'm like, don't do that to me yet, thank you. Now I do actually want to leave some space around the edge of my not circle. So these might not be the prettiest, because this isn't going very well, but everything smells really good. So the chocolate makes everything better. So we're gonna take a pizza cutter and we're gonna cut this into 16 wedges. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, why are you sticking? 14, 16, and then we're going to roll these from the outer edge in. Oh yeah, that's not a disaster at all. So I'm gonna roll all of these. So they kind of end up looking like little mini croissants. And again, you want to move fast because you don't want your chocolate to set before you've done the rolling. Okay, I'm kind of in the swing of things now. So despite how janky my circle was, these are pretty much turning out pretty uniform. This is a sticky mess. Oh my god. It's like all over my fingers. Look at this. This is gonna make so many of these because each disc makes 16 and there's 4. So, yikes. Alright, so I'm gonna do this with the rest of the dough and then I'll be back. Alright, so all of the dough has been rolled into these little croissant looking things. I have so many spare ones over here that didn't fit on these trays. So now I have to whisk together 1 egg and a teaspoon of water to make an egg wash to go over the tops of these. And what I'm also going to do is when I brush over these with the egg wash, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of demerara sugar on the top. The recipe says to use a coarse sugar. I mean, this is coarse, and I know this doesn't burn in the oven because we use it on top of other pastry things. I certainly hope these taste good because I'm going to have just so many of them. Alright, so that's one tray done. Sometimes when I'm doing things like this, I'm like, how much is too much egg wash? Because like, I don't want it to taste like egg. Now, despite the amount of sugar and chocolate that's in these, I'm not actually expecting them to be particularly sweet. Like, they'll be sweet, yes, but I think the undertone of the taste will be quite savory because of the cream cheese and the sour cream. So I need to put these in the oven now. Bake for 25 minutes or until golden brown. Alright, so I'm gonna bake those, and then I'm gonna bake all these ones, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it all looks like. Now the recipe says to let them cool completely before eating, and I say no. The best way to eat anything is when it's warm out of the oven. They look a state, but they also smell amazing. Oh, they're hot. Ow. I'm not sure how we got here, but they smell like Nutella. Wow, these are amazing. Right, well that was one kind of success. The cinnamon is a surprisingly strong flavor considering there's only 1/4 of a teaspoon in the entire lot of everything. It's good. I would recommend trying these. It's really weird to think that there's sour cream in these. They still look like little croissants to me. They did nothing like a croissant though. This was a great picture. Oh, I'm burning my mouth. Well, that's it for this episode of Eating by the Book. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like. Comment down below if you have any suggestions for future episodes. I have been doing these for a while now. There should be a link to the playlist somewhere. Subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I do post videos every week, and I post episodes from this show every month. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I see you guys next time in a new one. Bye!